And if it's true that these creatures are now standing in my room, I realized that the fear that I got from his eyes was in a connection to that feeling that he's looking at my thoughts, that he is aware of my thoughts and he is aware of my emotions, and he is even aware of my fear. And that make me very anxious even more because he knows my mind. But
Yeah.
when I lower my fear, I started to realize, and the connection is neutral. I mean, I realized that we are connected by our consciousness. And as he aware of my thoughts, I am aware of his thoughts or emotions. And that calmed me a little bit more. And I started to relax that they are all connected with each other in their awareness without needing to talk or something like that.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to First Contact. I have a very special guest here for you today, and when you hear his story, I think you might just blow the lid off your brain because it's
Mhm.
absolutely incredible the story that we have for you. I'd love to welcome author and artist Yossi Ronan to the stage today. Welcome.
Hi, hi, thank you, Eesha, and thank you everyone for giving this time for us to talk with you. And it's very nice for you to invite me to your show, a
Yeah,
beautiful one.
absolutely. Thank you so much. And when I first saw a little bit about your story, and I don't want to give our audience too much of a spoiler alert, because I'm going to give you the floor in a second to actually tell the story of what happened. But essentially, I mean, you've had some really, really profound encounters with beings, and so I'm very curious about the journey of how you get to that point. Um, First of all, did you have anything in your younger years that sort of allowed you to open up into this sort of thing?
Well, I didn't knew that I have one.
Yeah.
I knew that only couple of years after the decision to make a book, I went to a hypnotic regressioner, a professional one that
Right.
invited me because before before I started to write the book, I wanted to know if there were any sides in my memory that forgot or was unconscious about this contact, and maybe he will reveal it to me,
Hmm.
and I will be more precisely in writing the book about what's going on.
Hmm.
And it seems that he found that I had a contact when I was 3 years old,
Oh,
but
wow.
I certainly didn't remember that till that regression that happened a couple of years after the contact itself. So this contact maybe it's something that is in the book, and I give it a long chapter because it was very interesting,
Hmm.
but it's getting deeper, very much deeper, because I was only 3 years old, and the contact with him, with the being, was very, very special because I was a kid, and he talked to my conscious, and I had to interpret my kid memory in the hypnotic regression to grown up writer. So I think we better, if someone want to read about this encounter that I have in the year 3, it's in the book. But we better not talk about it because the first contact that I had, I didn't think about UFOs at all. I didn't have any memory of them. I
So it wasn't
wasn't,
in your conscious awareness, but you did find out later that you had this experience. So when you
yes,
actually had your first contact experience, was it a bit of a shock for you?
totally. I was
Right.
very young. It happened in 81,
Hmm.
and there were no internet then, and there were no talking about UFOs as much as I heard. I was not interested in that or
Yeah.
any specific thing that included with the UFOs or the being itself. And it suddenly happened, one day I was living for a year in Los Angeles in USA. My brother invited me to work with him. Now I live in Israel. This is my home. But
Hmm.
then in 81, I went to work with him for a year. And that's when it happened, suddenly in the evening after work, when I came home.
So tell us, what did you see?
Okay, it was it was a very hard day work, and it was still daytime. My
Hmm.
brother went to rest in his room, and I went to my bed, and I fall asleep. And the first thing that happened after I went to sleep is that I suddenly see myself out of my body. And that was the first time that it happened to me, that I can see suddenly my body laying on the bed, sleeping, and I'm watching it from
Hmm.
above. I didn't then even had the idea of out of body experience because I was not interested in that things, and I thought I was dreaming.
Right.
I thought I was dreaming that I'm out of my body and looking at my body sleeping. And when I looked at my body, I wanted to, it's instinct search for your hands, for your legs. And I didn't see nothing. The body was sleeping and I couldn't see. And I understood that I'm only awareness or consciousness that is looking at the room.
Yeah.
And and I felt very good. I felt very happy. I felt light. And I think that because I thought it's a dream, I was very calm with that. I was not in shock or something like that. It was like a happy dream.
Hmm.
And when I look at the room, I saw a couple of creatures. One of them standing near my bed, looking at my face, my head that was turned to the wall, was standing there and like doing something. I didn't know what he's doing, but I felt very good with that. And some other creatures in the room was walking in the room and looking at stuff. One of them touched the table. One of them uh, crumbled a paper that was on the table. They were like curious kids that are very curious about what's going on in that room, and that one that's sleeping in the bed. And it seems like in that situation, I knew them. In that situation that I was still out of my body, I thought that I know them, like they're far family or
Hmm.
very ancient friend that I have, or childhood friend or something like that, friends. And we had a telepathy, and we had a very good um, communication with lot of happiness, like children, and with lots of love and appreciation to each other. So this is what happened in the out of body. It's very, it's, I mean, in that situation, it was much more detailed because the consciousness that was out of the body was so free from, because you don't see from your eyes, but you see. And this way of looking at things, it's totally different because you can see much more than your eyes or even understand much more than from your body brain.
Hmm.
But that was the end of the out of body, and I woke up. My face was still to the wall, and I thought to myself, what a weird dream that I had.
Right.
I thought, what a dream that I'm out of my body near the ceiling, looking at my body sleeping, and there were green creatures that walking in the room, laughing with me, and there were like children, and everything was what a weird dream. And then I heard a noise from the room in the in the other side, and I thought I remember that I closed the door. I know that my brother is sleeping in the other room, so no one could go in. And so as I started to be anxious that maybe a thief came to the room and something like that. So I turned around, sat on the bed to see what's going on, and then I felt the shock of my life. That was totally frightened because the same one that I saw a minute ago in my so-called dream that was standing near my face, near my head, was standing there, and I see him half a meter from me looking at me, and he had a very big black eyes, and I was frozen from fear.
Hang on. So at this point, you're awake. You're not even sleeping.
Totally awake. I was totally
Wow.
awake, my eyes open and sitting on the bed, but I didn't know what's going on because a minute ago I saw them in what I thought was a dream, and here now I'm still seeing them. So I felt maybe I'm still dreaming, and
Right.
I think I woke up. So I pinched my leg, I pinched my head, and I felt the pain. I was totally awake. It was not a dream anymore. And they were standing there looking at me.
Wow.
They face without expression. They don't say nothing. They're just standing there passively. And I thought, what's going on? Maybe I lost my mind. Because, there were no pictures of these aliens in 81 that I saw. There were no internet. And I thought that I see something that is not logical, is not reasonable. And maybe I lost my mind. I really thought I'm in a strong illusion, or something happened to my head or something like that. But they were not, they were still standing there looking at me. And I really didn't know what to do. My heart began to be very, pumping very fast, and I was afraid and frozen. And because I didn't know what to do, the last thing that remind me to do is to think maybe the fear is only mine because I saw them a minute ago and we were okay. And if it's true that these creatures are now standing in my room, maybe the fear is mine because they were okay with me and we love each other and we left. And as I thought about that, I realized that the fear that I got from his eyes was in a connection to that feeling that he's looking at my thoughts, that he is aware of my thoughts and he is aware of my emotions and he is even aware of my fear. And that make me very anxious even more because he knows my mind. But
Yeah.
when I lower my fear, I started to realize that I know what he's thinking because I know what he thinks. And the connection is neutral. I mean, I realize that we are connected by our consciousness. And as he aware of my thoughts, I am aware of his thoughts or emotions. And that calmed me a little bit more. And I started to relax. And as I relaxed my fear, I started to realize that they are all connected with each other in their awareness without needing to talk or something like that. And they let me go inside their consciousness in a very natural way for them.
Yeah.
And I realized that this connection is natural for any human being. And it's not something very natural, special with me now. They didn't give me any such a special thing that gave me the opportunity to be connected with them. It seems that I realized that they were open and let me in that situation be open and contact with them because I can, because I'm a human being that have this ability.
Hmm.
And I started to realize their consciousness, and that started to be amazing, because their personality or consciousness or whatever we can call that was very, very loving and peaceful and very gentle and very positive. It seems like they were like very joyful. They had a very joyful experience of to be alive, and uh, and they were very loving each other, and they didn't have any ego, and that was very special because I never felt that kind of personality without an ego. It's like it reminded me a little kid, 3 or 4 years old kid that is so innocent and so pure and very transparent because he's like that. You can see his expressions because he don't hide them. You can feel his emotions because he showed them from his eyes. And he's very pure. He doesn't know how to hide it even. And they were like that, without any ego that trying to hide or show something that is not their real essence of who they are.
Oh, that's incredible. I mean, what you're describing here is such an in-depth interaction with another consciousness, another being, and the first thing, obviously, they've allowed you to do that. They've allowed that level of depth. And I guess my question is, why? Was there a purpose for it? Was it an understanding? Were they teaching you something? Or was it just for the experience of, hey, this is what we can potentially live like?
Well, the book is all about the
Right.
all the connections of the meaning and their meaning by contact us. But in that situation, the contact was not verbally. It was totally different. It was like we can call it telepathy, but it's not the way we think about telepathy. What we think about telepathy is something that's close to our communication when we talk to each other. We think that we send information and then hear information from the other one. But with them, the contact was like be one with each other. And we don't have to send words or information or question. We are just connected, and this is the way we are now with each other having like conversation. And we
Yeah.
can and I could ask or want to know something, and in the instance I can realize that from their consciousness because it's open. Everything is open. There is nothing that was hidden by them. So that's the way I felt they are not having ego and they are very peaceful and calm and happy. And in the time I realized that there was a purpose for that contact. And I think the first purpose if from with my contact, and I think for many others, because in this more than 40 years after the contact, I almost divided my life to search this thing with other people that I have contact, with books that I read. I met many people in Israel too that I have the contact, and most of them say the same thing. We felt that they are wanting us to understand our consciousness ability or potentiality, because when they gave me the opportunity to contact with their consciousness, I realized my consciousness suddenly. Because when we are here now using our consciousness, we don't use the real potential because we don't know that. We don't know about it. Maybe now we read it in books, but we didn't have the experience of contacting with other consciousness with our ability to be open, not dependently only on the body, but in our, more than the body potentiality that we have in our mind or brain or soul or whatever we say about that, we have the ability. And then the telepathy is the way of the consciousness to communicate and the connection is there all the time with all of us. We are not aware of that. We just simply don't, we are not aware of our connection that is exist now, even from, from us to all the reality itself, to other people, with nature, with animals. We have a connection, but we are not open to realize that we have it, that we can connect to other one consciousness and to feel him and to know him in this way. And
So
because of, yeah,
yeah, the one thing that I find really fascinating is, well, first of all, I want to make a distinction between telepathy and the experience of shared consciousness. I think that's important to distinguish because I think when people think telepathy, it's like if I said a sentence in my head, you'd be able to pick up that sentence. So essentially, telepathy is like a mental version of spoken language. But what you're talking about is even more than that. It's like an immersion into the consciousness to the point where you can feel and experience the beingness of another being. So that's, I mean, that's a whole different ball game. So I think first of all, let's make that distinction. Um,
yes, yes. And
and
I
second
think
of all,
yeah.
well, yeah, just to add to that, I think, what you've shared here is so important because you've said that many other people that you've spoken to have had these experiences, and it's like they're wanting us to understand not just what they're saying, but how they're being. And there's something really profound in that.
Yes, yes. They want us to know. First, they want us to contact with them, but
Yeah,
they are waiting us to be ready for that because it could be very confusing if we are not ready
yeah.
and we are not aware. As it was in the beginning that I was so afraid that they are penetrating my brain,
Yeah.
I could translate their love to penetrating with, a very bad intentions because I'm not used to be one with other, and
Right. So it could be taken almost in like a negative. Like if you're not ready for it, it maybe could be perceived as like intrusive or invasive, maybe. Do you think?
exactly the strong love can
Right.
be interpreted for something very frightened because it's like penetrating your heart. It's like they are go inside your head, and if we are not used to be one with other one, instead of love, we feel like we are threatened, and someone is
Wow.
controlling us, and someone want to controlling our brain or penetrate thoughts to his mind. It could be very wrong, negative feeling,
Yeah.
uh, that love and telepathy. And and what you said about the distinction between telepathy, the way we understand it now, and the real connection, that we have very lots of examples for that, because what we think in telepathy, that it's like we are radio that receiving information and we are sending information. But in the contact, in that way, the connection is go in very deep into your mind before even your mind getting the thoughts that translate to words. What I
Yeah.
mean by that many people that have the telepathy say, "Hey, he understand my language. He talked with me with English." The other one say the telepathy was in Hebrew. The other one say they have a translation that they can talk to my head in my language. But I think
Yeah.
that they are not realizing that he's communicating so deep inside that he doesn't need words. You understand him, but your brain have to give it a language. Your
Yeah.
thought have to be with words. Your thinking, you are usually you are you think with words, and so you translate what you understand to your language. And that's
Yeah.
why people think that they are talking their language, but this is deeper than that.
You have a very strong understanding of this concept that I don't hear very often in a lot of people. And I just want to echo that because Like when I've connected with my star family, which I do quite frequently, I always say to people, it's like, yes, it's telepathic, but it's also like an experience. Like there's an understanding or a knowing that I call it like multi-dimensional thought. Because if thought was like a string of English words or a sentence, I feel like that wouldn't fully convey that. So, I mean, what you're describing sounds very similar to the experiences that myself and I'm sure a lot of other contactees have had, where it's felt in the body. There's sensations that go with it. There's knowings that go with it. And so this idea of penetrating and become one, I find that really, really profound. And I just want to say here as well, for people who want to read the book is called One. So it goes into
Mhm.
the oneness. That's the whole concept behind it. And we are going to put the links in the show notes below so people can check it out. One of the things that you do mention in your book in relation to this concept of oneness is you say that the visitors are aware of what we call God. So can you tell us about that?
Well, that was the most strongest thing in the strong thing of connecting to their consciousness, because when I get the opportunity to go inside their amazing consciousness, I was so amazed and curious to know who they are and where they came from and what is the basis of their happiness. They were so happy and so, calm and like, and I felt, well, I have to understand where it came from, why they are so in a so good energy and loving and peaceful and without an ego, and they went inside their consciousness because they were open. They let me go inside, in time, in space, everything that I wanted to feel or understand of what they are thinking. They let me, and I could really feel in my consciousness their consciousness. What I mean is that they let me really have their consciousness and to know whatever they understand about everything.
Yeah.
So I went inside the emotion of love and looked for the beginning of that. It's a visual or expression, but it's something that is beyond thinking. It's something that you can do when you are out of your body or when you are using your potential of consciousness that we all have. You can go really deep inside the other one consciousness. And what I felt there, that the feeling of security and happiness and love have a beginning from something that they are aware of, that they were always there, all the time they were aware of something very profound, loving, that give them life. They were aware of that they exist because there is something that gives them existence.
Wow.
It's I say it with words in the logic and intellectual way, but it's much more than that. It's like awareness of reality, that aware of that. They know that they didn't invent themselves or something made them. Only that thing that gives them life for every second is the thing that they are, because of that, they are now have life and have awareness and have consciousness. And that thing is actually love. This is the only thing that I can give a word to describe that thing that gave them that they are aware of that. A very strong love, and if I wanted to give it a visual thing, it was a very strong light.
Wow.
Yeah, but I
I mean that
couldn't.
that adds up to what a lot of people say. When like okay, so for example, when I visualize love in my heart as part of my meditation practice, I would visualize a white light that's radiating, like a really bright white light, and it feels warm, it feels loving. So, what
Yeah,
you're describing, it adds up to a lot of other people's experiences. And even, I've watched quite a lot of near-death experience videos. I've interviewed people who've had near-death experiences, and they also say that when they go to the other side, it's just like this big, bright light and it feels like love. And so, what you're saying is you were able to access that through the shared consciousness, but I think the biggest difference between their experience and our human experience is that they seem to have that. I mean, tell me if I'm getting this right, but it sounds like they seem to have that on an ongoing basis, whereas as humans, I think we have more of a disconnect sometimes from that feeling or that knowingness of that love or God or whatever it is that you want to call it.
Yes, exactly. And I think that they gave me the opportunity to understand these things because they gave me the connection to them in two different phases. One,
Mm,
when I was out of the body and I could connect without the borders of the body, and then from the body with the borders, and then I could understand the borders because, I
right.
had it in the both ways, and I
But did
understood
it feel different? Like when you were out of body and in your body, was it a different type of sensation or an experience because of the physical body that's present?
totally different, totally
Right.
different. I mean, the connection when I was connected out of the body, and then in after a while when I was awake, and I could connect in the most in very deeply, it was the same. But the reaction of the body from the beginning was totally threatened experience that the body was like confront something that he don't understand, and he was totally afraid, like I was in the jungle, and the lion now is going to eat me. This is the body reaction to something that is not understand. And the when I let my body relaxed, I could be connected with them once
What do
again,
you
like
think
I
that
was.
that threat is? Like, I mean, we know, okay, internet intellectually or from a, objective perspective, we know, okay, love is good. It's, we kind of know that. But then when you're in the experience of it, you're saying that actually your body has taken that to be a threat. I mean, is that intentional? Is the body designed for that? Is that part of the human experience to feel that separateness? And what part of you is being threatened? Is it an ego reaction? I clearly have a lot of questions around this.
Yes, yes. I think it's all of that. And
All of
it's
the
part of
above.
it. Yeah. It's part of it what he talked in the beginning.
Yeah,
I had a deep understanding of that thing that happened to the body in the hypnotic regression.
right.
Because one of the things that I wanted to ask him, that he will give me the opportunity to understand that fear. And he let me go and like go once again to the contact itself in the same seconds of the contact. I was in the hypnotic situation. And then he told me, "You can tell me why you are afraid now?" I didn't know. I told him, "I'm only afraid. I'm afraid that I'm going to die." So he
Oh,
told me something very, very interesting. He told me, maybe now ask them to give you an answer for that. This is, it's like easier way for me to go deeper into my awareness to understand where the fear came from. And then I could hear like a understanding that the body understand things only from limitations of things, only in like time and space.
yeah.
When your consciousness, your body awareness have to know where thing begins and ends, and this is the security of your logic, rational way of behaving in our physical 3D world. But in that consciousness that is free from the body, the rules are totally different. There is no sense of time or place or limitations or borders. So for the body is you are getting insane. The body is afraid from that. The body have to protect you from that. The body, for healthy body, you have to know intellectually what's going on in time and place. You have to know where you are. But if you out of your body, for instance, time and place is not important anymore. And it's not a problem because the body is sleeping. But when you're awake with your body and your mind is going out to that realm that have no borders, the body reaction is instinctively be cautioned, it's something very dangerous to you. So the body is trying to stop that. And this is the fear and the frozen that people have, feeling of frozen body from that thing. And like we said, that strong love and strong like vibration for the body can be very harmful if he's not ready for that and don't know how to digest that strong love that is in he feeling now from the other one.
I feel like I'm getting very abstract here, and I want to make this a little bit relatable for the
Mhm.
audience as well.
Yeah.
So how I relate to this experience in my way is, I've had experiences where I've received really high vibrational transmissions of love, and there have been moments, and this could be through energy healing, or when you sit in the presence of a master, a guru, a spiritual teacher. Like there've been moments where I've felt really strong waves of energy coming in. And I've also noticed in those moments exactly what you're talking about, because logically there's a part of me that knows, oh, this energy's healing, it's good for me, I should receive it. And at the same time, my God, I noticed that ego kick in. I noticed that mental thought, oh, I don't want this. And that all this resistance starts, coming up in the way. And I wonder, this is just a speculation, that I wonder if the body somehow like associates the process of dying with that infinite love, because I feel like that's one of the few instances where we actually get to experience that. And that's possibly by design, right? I mean, we came here in a physical body to go under the veil, to have that level of disconnect, to experience separation, singularity, all of that. And so maybe when the life purpose hasn't been completed, or when the body's not ready to leave, and then suddenly all of this love comes in, I can completely understand that it would think, oh, am I about to die? Is this me going to the other side? So from that perspective, it kind of makes sense. I just wonder, from a spiritual evolutionary perspective, if this ascension that we're going through in this spiritual, shift in paradigm is building our capacity within the body to be able to have more of that love, more of that capacity to have that frequency coming in without getting afraid and knowing that we're not going to die. So I wonder if that's part of that journey of evolution that we're on right now as humans.
Wow, you said it very amazingly way.
Thank you.
You really you really touch it. Yeah, yeah. Exactly that. Because
Right,
for the body, spirit is dying. I mean,
right.
the body know when the when he becomes spirit, he will be he have nothing to he cannot live. He's not a spirit, he's matter. He won't the body needs to be a 3D, uh, material. And it's good, and this is the way we are developing. We develop our body. Our our high consciousness is already high. All the work is in the body itself, in the mind, in the brain, in
People
our
talk about
consciousness.
embodiment, right? Like the concept of embodiment, which is actually coming into the body instead of trying to escape.
Yes, yes. The thing is to have the balance of the body with the ascension bit by bit, that the body can like be more and more transparent for the spirit and can have it and can use it and can be aware of that. And your mind can grasp emotions of strong love, and your mind can grasp imagination even of oneness, that it's not so easy, it's not so simple. Like we think about oneness, that like a group of people that are dedicated to each other. But oneness is much more than that. It's like the real essence of our reality that is connected, and we have our bodily 3D experience in the body, and we have to do them both. And it's challenging to, and I think that in our brain, we have the, the potential for that, that can, connect with the two sides of the hemisphere. For instance, this is one way to look at that. We have a very logic left side that talk and have and see things with beginning and end, and space and time, and our right side of the brain that it's more intuition and spirit. And if we can, have a conversation, like more connection between the two sides, we will have the experience of our 3D world usually experience with more and more connection to our real soul. And it's the deep light that the aliens were aware of, that love and light, is actually what we say now. I think that what we say now about God.
Right.
I think that people, when they go inside their, really inside their soul, and they feel this oneness, many experiences in meditation, and connecting with beings or something like that, they really have the connecting to the oneness. And God is what we can understand about God, that the expression that we can give to that is oneness.
Yeah.
And in when you now look at the ancient Bible, in many religious beliefs, they call God one.
Hmm.
Like monotheism is like believing in one God and not many gods, but the real meaning of one God is oneness. I mean, God is everything, and if you are realizing God, you are realizing the oneness, and this is the real meaning of. I think in the root of all the religious, Buddhism, Judaism, Buddhism, all of them is connected to realizing the one. And it's like a mission for us now in the body to be connected with our awareness to that oneness.
That's so beautiful. That's just, it's very inspiring, and also I think something that a lot of us can look forward to as we go through this evolution, this ascension, reconnection. Do you think that, for humanity's evolution, do you think that galactic contact is an essential part of that?
I think it will be after we do our work, because as I see and I understand, they don't pushing us. They help us many sometimes, like now that we are in a dangerous situation with ourselves. They are trying, like a family, to help us to, get over the situation, that dangerous situation, by letting us understand our potential ability. And what was your question?
Just around whether
I
or
went
not
with
it's
the,
an essential, whether it's an essential part of awakening. Like
yeah.
there's a lot of people out there, just to contextualize a little bit. Like some people ask me, but Isha, why do we need to connect with our galactic family in order to awaken? Can't I just be Buddhist and just be in presence? My opinion on this is, well, that's great, but that's like saying, I'm going to be present in Australia and ignore the rest of the world. Like I just feel like in order for us to actually be one, we first of all have to acknowledge all the oneness, not just the human oneness, but like the galactic oneness and the angelic oneness. And I think awareness is the first step to that. And so, therefore, galactic contact, if we are going to be a highly evolved and enlightened race, we have to first at least acknowledge they exist before we even hope to think that we can be one with them. That's my opinion.
Exactly, exactly. I think this is the whole oneness is going there. It
Yeah,
begins, with us, between ourselves, loving ourselves, see the
yeah,
light in ourselves. And then it goes to our friend.
Yeah.
You know, when in the Bible or in the Torah, when they're asking the wise men, and I know that with Jesus was too, they're asking Jesus, what can you say? With all of your wisdom, what we should do? If we don't want to now start to learn and this kind of stuff, he said, the most important thing that you love each other.
Yeah.
And we think about that like they teach us in school. We think, okay, this is a message to be good to each other. But the deep thing in that it's not easy to love each other, especially if the other one is not nice. But if you go to the point that you feel him enough to feel love to him, you made a connection.
Yeah.
So the purpose is to get to the point that you can see him, really see him behind the walls of his body and then if you connect with his strong light and love, that it's the connection to God, you connected to God. And this is the way you can do it in a very simple way with the people around you. If you give chance to your awareness to really look inside him, and you're going to see that. And then if it goes on and we are now connected, we can go on with our awareness even beyond our limited 3D world and connect to other beings like angels, like spirits, like, they're all, I think, the same um, the realm of the oneness that is beyond the material world that we are now aware of. And this is this is the continuing of our opening of our consciousness is like to others and even to the angels and the spirits and the aliens too.
Yeah. That's so
Mhm.
beautiful. So with the with the contact experience that you had in 1981, was it a one-off thing, or do you feel like that connection has since stayed with you, and have you had other contact experiences since then?
Well, what happened is that contact like do something to my brain,
Right.
probably, probably
A lot of
because
people say that actually. A lot of people say that after they have the first tangible one, suddenly they're seeing craft everywhere. They can see energies. They're able to heal. I had one person I spoke with a couple of years ago. He said that he actually had an abduction experience. It was a bit scary for him, but he lost time, came back, and then suddenly had this incredible ability to heal. So I absolutely believe that something probably happened in your DNA or in your brain that now maybe that's shifting the way that you interact with the world.
yeah, it's happened to the physically, I think, to the brain because our brain is very influenced by this kind of experiences. If the experience is very strong, for the bad or the good, it
Yeah.
gave us a very strong. We became to be different after that,
Yeah.
and for my day by day now, it's like there is a corridor in my awareness that remembers the contact with them, the immense love and light, and by only by remembering this situation, I can continue to have like things that I want to write or to understand or to go inside even more because it's not depending if they are near me or not. It's something inside of me, and they don't have to come to the room for me to get to my consciousness and to be connected to the oneness with my consciousness. And the oneness is endless. You can go whenever you want, you can ask whatever you want, and you get more information because you are open for
Yeah.
that. So I didn't try to contact them face to face. I tried once. I couldn't do that physically. I was once again afraid, once again frozen, once again my body could not handle that.
Yeah.
So I don't try to do that once again. I understand now that my body have to be ready for that. In that situation that they gave me the opportunity to see them face to face physically, they probably knew the right moment to do that and that I can handle that.
Yeah.
And it was not easy. I mean, in the end of the contact, my body became, I thought that I cannot live anymore. Even that it was amazing, even that I didn't fear anymore, even that I felt that love so much, my body could not handle that anymore.
Uh,
And I know that now that we can do real, to treat our body in a way that could be open for that kind of high frequency. We can do that. And but I don't do that anymore. I don't try to face them face to face once
okay.
more.
What about in meditation though? Can you just connect in with them or
Yeah, yeah,
thing?
I can use the memory of them
Yeah.
and imagine them near me when I want to, like, I try I, I sometimes use that for asking questions. I can imagine they are looking at me and I'm looking at their faces
Right.
and I ask them something and I'm waiting and passively I can get an answer.
Yeah. So that's
Uh,
still a form of communication, right? I mean,
yes,
even though
of
it's not
course.
face to face, it's like a energetic transmit or channeling. Some people say it's like channeling or something like that.
Yes, I channeling, I use their, visual memory
Yeah.
to give me a tool to go back to that memory of that white consciousness. I believe that, I see that, and then I feel that, and then uh, once you can heal yourself or others with, if you have the channel to your wide consciousness and have a visual of the other one that have a problem in his body and your visual light go inside there, you can heal. You can heal yourself or other one with this in this way. Because the just yesterday I was thinking about that light that I saw, that like God, for them to they're aware in that, and I ask myself why light? Why so many people see white light? And just yesterday I realized that in physics, light don't have the photons itself are not limited by time and space. The photon itself go in the speed of light. So the photon itself, amazing. And that's why we see light. This is the visual thing that we can see of the non, the, the open oneness of no place and time. I mean, um, if it's the photon that is not limited by time or place, it means that he is everywhere and in any time. This is the no time and place. This is the actual meaning of that. No time and place is everywhere and every time. I cannot hear you.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, what a powerful experience. I mean, just everything that you've shared today, I feel like, overall the experience has been so positive and life-changing for you in so many ways. And even just the memory of it, it's a like a transformational experience. So thank you so much for coming on here and sharing just all of your amazing wisdom. And before we leave today, I would love for you to just spend another minute or so just sharing with people where they can connect with you, your website, and your book.
Okay. Uh, First of all, the book is, what I said now is only 2 or 3 pages from the book,
Yeah.
and the book is very wide. I took many years to work on that book to make it uh, helpful for people, and I felt very strong need and to write the right things to help people, and you can get it from Amazon. It's if you write one face-to-face contact, you can find the book. And if someone have the problem to buy the book, if he cannot afford himself to buy the book, he can send me a mail, and I will send him the book.
That's really generous of you. Thank you so much. So we're going to put those links of how to contact you and also the link for your book on Amazon. And for anyone who wants to connect, this is Yossi Ronan. You can reach out to him, Google him. You'll find all of his links as well. Thank you so much for being on First Contact today. It's been an amazing interview.
Thank you. It was a very good experience for me to talk with you. Thank
Thanks.
you.